Here's a word problem with linear systems that we'll solve by substitution method. So if you look, create a linear system to model this situation. Alexia invested $1,800, part at an annual interest rate of 3.5% and the rest at an annual interest rate of 4.5%. After 1 year, the total interest was $73. Now if we look at this, three of these numbers have to do with the interest. The percent interest in one account, percent interest in the other account, and the interest which is earned. Okay, all of these have to do with interest, so one equation will be formed using these, and the second equation will be formed using this. This is a total 1,800, and this is another total. So in terms of the equations for A, we're going to say let X equal the money that's invested at 3.5%. And then I'm going to let Y equal the money invested at 4.5%. Now when I go to write these equations, Alexia invested $1,800 or $1,800. So that's a combination of the money invested at 3.5% and the money invested at 4.5%. That will equal 1,800. So this is my first equation. My second equation comes from these percentages. So the amount she invests at 3.5% is going to earn 0.035 interest. And the amount she invests in this 4.5% account is going to earn 0.045 interest for every dollar she invests. And that total interest earning in both accounts was $73. So here's our two equations. Again, if we look at this in terms of substitution, this first equation is going to be a little more favorable to rearrange. And the reason being is there is no coefficient of x or y. The coefficient is 1 in both cases. So it doesn't really matter which one we rearrange for. I'm going to choose to rearrange the first equation for y. So what this is going to look like if I rearrange this, I'm going to subtract x from both sides of the equation, and y is going to equal negative x plus 1,800. Now, what we would do from here is we are going to substitute this in the second equation. So equation 2, I'm going to replace my y with this so that there is only a single variable x in each equation, in this equation. So right now there's an x and a y. So to eliminate the x and the y to only have an x, we'll replace y with negative x plus 1,800. So the equation will look like this. Now what I'm going to do is expand this. So 0.035x is simplified. I'm going to expand this so it's subtract 0.045x. So when we multiply this with x, and then when we multiply 0.045 with 1,800, we get 81. Now when I combine these x terms, I'm going to get negative 0.010x plus 81 is equal to 73. So using reverse BEDMAS, I'm going to isolate x. I'm going to subtract 81 from both sides of this equation. And I'm going to have negative 0.010x is equal to negative 8. Now to isolate x, if I divide by this number, this coefficient of x, I'm going to get that x is equal to 800. And in this situation, it's $800. So now if I substitute this back in this equation, this rearranged equation 1, to figure out y, I'm going to negative 800 plus 1,800. So y is going to equal $1,000. So what we discover here is that Alexia has invested $800 at 3.5% and $1,000 at 4.5%. So if I write this down, $800 is invested at 3.5% and $1,000 is invested at 4.5%.